Hello there, my name's Jacob. I really like playing video games, it's one of the only hobbies in my life, but right now I'm overstimulated and just very bored of it. But at the same time, I just need something, man. I mean, I can't be bored. Spider-Man. Yeah, sure. Well, it seems like I have found my solution to my problem. Spider-Man. I have always wanted to become just like him, but, well, never happened.
Quick, try to guess which superhero I'm thinking about. If you guessed Howard the Duck, then you're completely right. No, I'm kidding. Of course I was thinking of Spider-Man, one of the most popular superheroes of all time. What makes Spider-Man different is that he's not some millionaire or rich guy that becomes a superhero. Instead, this is the 15-year-old nerd who accidentally gets superpowers. What makes him so great is that as a child you think, oh yeah, Spider-Man. He can shoot webs, he can climb walls, he's powerful. But when you grow older, you start to see the fragile Peter Parker side of him. And that's what makes him so great. And yeah, he's my favorite superhero of all time. But how about Spider-Man on the big screen? Well, nowadays, superhero movies are everywhere. It feels like we're guaranteed 4 to 5 superhero movies and series every year.
It's just the norm at this point.
But before the MCU, it was very different. You see, when Marvel Comics made their debut, many, especially adults, thought they were lame and didn't take them seriously. And so to have movies be based on them, you can already tell it was not going to be a great idea.
And yet, some idiots still did it.
Attempts happened throughout time, but none of them really made a difference. Sure, we got the Batman and Superman movies in the 80s and 90s, but the hype for those movies did die down eventually. So the movie that changed it all was
this.
Spider-Man, released in 2002 and was directed by Sam Raimi. This movie changed everything, and without it, I don't know if superhero movies would be as popular. This movie was the first movie ever to gross $100 million on its opening weekend. That is insane. It started an era of multitude of superhero movies that came after it that have led us to where we are today. In other words, fucking hell.
But with all of that said, let's take a look at this movie and see why it's dubbed as the renaissance of superhero movies.
Spider-Man 1 is about high school nerd Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, who is madly in love with a girl, who gets bitten by a spider, who becomes Spider-Man and fights a crazy villain. But most importantly, he learns about the responsibility that having good powers come with.
So yeah, not like that.
Yeah, because while having good powers is cool and all, it comes with a responsibility. And Peter, who's a good guy, realizes that he must use his power for the greater good. But how does he learn all of this? I mean, he must make some mistakes on the way.
Yeah, mistakes he certainly does.
Peter signs up for a wrestling match, which he wins, barely gets any money for, and a robber comes in, robs the place. Peter lets him escape as payback, but payback is what Peter gets next. Uncle Ben is dead, and the guy who killed him was the robber from before. And this is where Peter learns the responsibility, and decides to fight bad guys and save the city of New York.
Well, thank God only one person had to die for that.
However, not everyone likes a hero. J. Jonah Jameson, who runs the Daily Bugle, hates Spider-Man because, well, I don't know. It's just a personality trait, I guess. Peter works for Jameson by taking pictures of himself.
Spider-Man and being a model?
Let me rephrase that. He takes pictures of himself as Spider-Man and sells them to Jameson, who in return gives him a couple of bucks and slanders Spider-Man's name.
But alright, is there anyone else out there that hates Spider-Man?
Hello, my dear.
Oh.
The Green Goblin, who's Norman Osborn under the mask, is a scientist himself who does an experiment, becomes a powerful crazy maniac, and he does the opposite of what Peter does with his powers. Peter's best friend Harry is the son to Norman, and Peter develops a father and son relationship with Norman, with both of them not knowing that they are fighting each other when they are dressed up, until Norman does figure out who Peter is, and he attacks Spider-Man by attacking Peter's heart. That being Peter's aunt, Aunt May, and later on MJ. You see, in the beginning of the movie, MJ barely knows Peter, but after meeting him more, she realizes that he is a good and sweet person, and a better candidate for boyfriend than her other boyfriends in the movie, that being a couple.
But you can't always get what you want.
Despite being the guy in love with MJ, Peter can't be with her. She almost got killed by the Goblin. Peter can't put her through that risk again, so he must reject her. Despite not really wanting to, but what can he do? It's his responsibility after all. That always comes first.
No, I can't right now. I must save Billy. He's stuck under the bus.
Peter being Spider-Man also set some difficulties with his friendship with Harry. You see, Norman might just have accidentally got impaled by his own glider while trying to kill Spider-Man. But Harry gets the story twisted and thinks Spider-Man's to blame for Norman's death. So now Peter must live with the fact that his best friend hates the other side of him, and there's really no way he can explain it to Harry. So Peter's stuck with that, on top of all of his other issues. But yet, he remains strong and accepts his gift, curse, whatever you want to call it, and that's why the movie ends with a powerful final swing. And that is certainly a Spider-Man story. A story that can be enjoyed by Spider-Man fans and movie fans in general.
The crossover.
And this is what I think sets this movie apart from other superhero movies that came before. Not only is Spider-Man 1 a good superhero movie, but just a good movie in general. The cinematography, editing, music are all great, and even the CGI effects hold up pretty good. Well, in most places.
Well, again, you can't always get what you want.
The acting is for the most part great. Sure, Kristen Dunst's acting isn't the best, neither is James Franco's, and honestly, even Tobey Maguire can be a little weak, but he's really good at the slower and more emotional scenes. That is when he delivers, man. And speaking of acting, Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn and J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson are fantastic. Willem Dafoe is so good, and J.K. Simmons' performance as J. Jonah Jameson feels like JJ stripped out from the comics directly. When you think of J. Jonah Jameson, you think of this guy. So, is there anything bad to say about this movie? Well, in some cases I guess. There are definitely some nitpicks to be had here, like MJ's story isn't the best, but I do think he gets a lot more hate than it deserves. And there are also some other small flaws, but in the big picture, there isn't that much to complain about here.
And don't get me started on this.
Yeah, Spider-Man 1 has been criticized for being cheesy, but isn't that sort of the point? I mean, this movie is based on comic books, and they are cheesy. And I definitely think Sam Raimi, the director, did this intentionally, which honestly was a good choice. I love the cheesiness in this movie, and the entire trilogy for that matter, and that is Spider-Man 1. Damn, does this movie hold up. I'm of course really biased against this movie and the entire Raimi trilogy for that matter, but the thing is, there isn't that much to complain about here really, and I feel like every time I see this movie, it only gets better.
But you know what? I have decided. I'm gonna become Spider-Man. Just like I have always wanted. I'm gonna save people's lives, and best of all, I'm gonna become famous. And frankly, I don't have to be bitten by a radioactive spider. The powers are in me, and if I believe in myself, it will come naturally.
Ugh. Fuck. I guess I just watch Spider-Man 2 instead.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man.
Hello everyone, it's me Jacob. I've started a Spider-Man book club. I don't know, I just felt like it. Nah, but this is just to prepare for Spider-Man 2. I mean, come on, you gotta do your research, right? Well, I think it's finally time to watch Spider-Man 2. Who's that?
Pizza time!
Pizza? That's not allowed in here.
Oh, but I'm not delivering pizza.
So, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm recruiting you to work as a pizza delivery guy.
Why would I want that?
Because it's the best thing in the world!
Sure, I'll do it. But why are you even doing this?
Because with great power comes great.
Well, it seems like I have got a job as a pizza delivery guy. The next delivery is in 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I really want to watch Spider-Man 2. So let's do that before to kill some time.
So, Spider-Man 1 happened, and it was a great success, grossing over 800 million worldwide and did the impossible.
What's that?
Made superhero movies respected.
So you're the one who started this apocalypse.
Yeah, you see, superhero movies had gone off the road after Batman and Robin, but Spider-Man 1 rebuilt that road better than it was before. This movie was not only about a superhero fighting tough guys, it was also about the person behind the mask, the fragile Peter Parker. Right after Spider-Man 1 was released, Raimi did not celebrate, and instead started working on Spider-Man 2, and 2 years later it was released. Spider-Man 2 grossed almost as much as the first one did, and it was met with better reviews by critics than the first one was. Some critics even called this the best superhero movie of all time back then.
But let's put that to the test. I mean, we have had so many new superhero movies the past 20 years. So this movie may not deserve that title anymore.
Spider-Man 2 is about Peter Parker, who's madly in love with a girl, who struggles to balance his normal and superhero life, and who also fights a new villain with 8 limbs. And this struggle Peter has with Spider-Man is shown in the first scene.
And how is that shown?
An epic robbery heist, a big battle with Doc Ock. No. None of that. Instead...
Pizza time.
Yes, Spider-Man 2 opens up with Peter Parker delivering pizza.
Huh. Like me.
And it is a fantastic opening. Peter is late to his job due to a certain disturbance and is forced to
Go 42 blocks in 7.5 minutes.
And how does he do that? That's right, but on the way he gets distracted with Spider-Man stuff, and this ends up costing him his job. This first scene sets the tone of what this movie is going to be about.
In other words, a hell for our dear Peter.
You see, when Spider-Man saves a life or stops a crime, Peter Parker loses something in return. This happens throughout the movie. When Peter's on his way to MJ's play, he ends up getting distracted, so when he gets to the play, it has already started, and he is not allowed to go in, which upsets MJ due to him promising her to be there earlier. As you might have guessed, Spider-Man 2 isn't really about the responsibility like last time. Instead, it's about choice, because while it's good of Peter to use his powers for the greater good, it can't spill over to his personal life. So is it really worth doing all of this when in return it ruins your normal life?
No, it's not, Peter. A pizza job would suit you so much better.
Spider-Man is really ruining Peter's life. He can't remember his birthday, Harry hates him, he can barely pay his rent, he fails at school, and most importantly, he can't have a romantic relationship with MJ. In fact, she's moved on from Peter, kind of. In one of the earlier scenes, MJ tries to make Peter open up on why he's acting so strange, but Peter refuses, and that gives MJ the green light to date an astronaut who just happens to be J. Jonah Jameson's son.
Yikes.
Which devastates Peter, so it's no surprise that he starts losing his powers after this, because they are not giving him anything good anymore. Peter tries to make it right with MJ, but it's too late, and when he hears that MJ is getting married, Peter is at an all-time low. So he falls again, and decides, fuck it, let's quit this bullshit, and then follow that sad scene with one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is the only movie that can do a thing like this without it being bad. Peter now enjoys life again and doesn't care if thousands of people get hurt every day.
I mean, why would you when you can eat hot dogs?
And not only are people getting hurt, but a crazy scientist named Otto Octavius has become a monster. He's a scientist that Peter in the beginning looks up to, and why wouldn't he? Octavius has everything Peter wants. He's a successful scientist, and his wife just happens to have red hair.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
He's basically everything Peter wants to be. Well, not entirely. Like Norman Osborn, Octavius does an experiment that goes a little wrong, resulting in the death of his wife and his descent into becoming evil, due to the intelligence of the arms on him taking over. So, Octavius gets busy with funding his new experiment, but not without Peter crossing him. And speaking of Peter, yeah, he's still retired. Although, he does try to be Spider-Man after Aunt May gives him some advice, so Peter tries to be Spider-Man.
That's going to go well.
Peter does not get his powers back here, because being inspired is not something that can justify him being Spider-Man. He needs a real reason, which is actually what he gets when Doc Ock kidnaps MJ, giving him that real reason he needed. Now Spider-Man is back in action. He fights Doc Ock on a fast-moving train and gives it all when he is forced to stop a train filled with passengers. Arriving at the last fight scene, here Peter doesn't defeat Doc Ock with his fists, but rather with words. Peter can't stop the arms attached to Doc Ock, but he can make Doc Ock stop the arms himself. By exposing his identity to Doc Ock and telling wise words that originally came from Octavius.
You once spoke to me about intelligence.
Intelligence is not a privilege, it's a gift.
That it was a gift to be used
Use
for
it
the good of mankind.
And also from Aunt May.
Sometimes, to do what's right, we have to be steady
and
give up the thing we want the most. Even our dreams.
This is enough for Doc Ock to make things right. And he goes out as a hero and stops his own experiment that would have otherwise killed the entire city. And MJ finally realizes why Peter is the way he is, because he is Spider-Man. But like before, Peter must react her.
I guess old habits don't die hard.
At least until MJ runs off from her own wedding just to be with Peter, which this time Peter can't twist out from, because MJ has made a decision and Peter must respect that. So Peter finally gets the girl he's been dreaming of, but most importantly, he can now live a stable life as both Spider-Man and as Peter Parker. And it is so nice to see this happen. After all the torture Peter's been through, he really deserves a break. And that is Spider-Man 2. The first movie was really good, and its sequel is better in basically every way you can think of. The fight scenes are 10 times better than before, the cinematography and visual storytelling is even better. Sam Raimi's flavor of horror, which felt a little out of place in the first movie, is excellent here, especially the hospital scene. MJ's plotline is improved, Peter's struggles feel much more impactful. Doc Ock isn't really better than the Green Goblin, he's basically just as good, which is not a bad thing, because the Green Goblin was such a good villain. CGI? Sure, not everything is perfect, but some shots in particular genuinely look good with CGI. Also, Harry and Aunt May are in this movie. Harry finds out who Spider-Man is, and let's just say that something here gets teased for the next movie. Aunt May might also know. It's not explicitly told that Aunt May knows that Peter is Spider-Man, but there are hints to it. With that in mind, it makes the scene with her giving advice to Peter all the more interesting. But with all that said, is this movie the best superhero movie of all time? The answer to that question is...
Hell yeah, I love this movie. It's not only my favorite superhero movie of all time, but just one of my favorite movies of all time in general. But now that I'm done watching Spider-Man 2, I sadly have to close the book club, and I also have to deliver this pizza. But that's okay, it should be 1 minute left of the delivery. Shit, I need to go!
This is why we love pizza.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me.
Huh. Hello there, I'm Jacob. Recently I retired from talking to you. I mean, I got a job as a pizza delivery guy, and I have never been happier. I don't have time to watch and talk about Spider-Man 3. It's such a relief. I just gotta take this. Oh, hello. It's my boss. What? Are you firing me? For what? Delivering pizza to the wrong house? Come on, that happens to everybody. Okay, fine. See ya, I guess. Fucking idiot. Well, it seems like I have to watch Spider-Man 3 now to cope with me losing my job.
Spider-Man 1 and 2, two of the most iconic superhero movies of all time that proved that superhero movies could be good. After Spider-Man 2's successful release, it was obvious a sequel would come out, and that would happen 3 years later when Spider-Man 3 released in 2007. This was an ambitious project. At the time, it had one of the biggest movie budgets of all time, but that paid off. Spider-Man 3 grossed almost 900 million at the box office worldwide, which was more than its predecessors. However, while it did well money-wise, critically it was not as good. Critics bashed this movie, and a lot of people were disappointed with it. This movie actually killed the franchise. A fourth movie was supposed to be released in 2011 and was in development, but it got cancelled.
And we still haven't forgiven them for this.
This was sad news. Just because one movie in the franchise wasn't as liked shouldn't mean the entire franchise should be killed. While many people hated Spider-Man 3, there were some who didn't.
And you are looking at one of them right now.
Yeah, as a kid, I thought Spider-Man 3 was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite of the 3, but neither was it my least favorite. And sure, when I grew up, I realized that everyone fucking hated on this movie. Except those who, like me, saw the movie at a young age. In fact, nowadays you can find many people on YouTube defending this movie, which wasn't so common when it came out.
So that begs the question, which side should you stand on? Well, I don't know. We'll have to find out, I guess.
Spider-Man 3 is about Peter Parker, who now has a pretty good life, despite also being Spider-Man. School is going well for him, he has the girl of his dreams, everything is going good, maybe a little too good actually. You see, in the last movie, Peter suffered a lot, but now that he has overcome that, he has sort of built up an ego, thinking he's better than everybody else.
To be fair though, he does have pretty good dancing moves.
This is not good for MJ, who's struggling with her job, and Peter isn't really being that supportive. When giving advice, he only talks about himself and the struggles he had before, and also the fact that he kisses another girl named Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man, who's also in the same class as Peter in school. So it's no surprise that MJ later on breaks off with Peter, partially because Harry forces her to, but also because she wants to break up with Peter, because Peter's just being an asshole at this point. And speaking of Harry, he has become the new Goblin, and we also have Sandman and Venom, so yeah. 3 villains in one movie.
Didn't Batman and Robin teach you anything?
This is a big reason why Spider-Man 3 is a mess. 3 villains are being present at all time, and to deal with this, only one can be active. First, Harry is the active villain, but then he gets a memory loss in a fight against Peter, and he has just conveniently forgotten everything about his beef with Peter, which is just stupid and lazy writing. But that allows Sandman to become the new active villain until he's shoved out too, and then Harry becomes the villain again, and then he gets kicked out again, and then Venom comes into the picture and teams up with Sandman, and then final battle, yay. This is frustrating, but it's at least better than having all of the villains at the same time being active. However, the solution they have for it is just a solution to a problem they created. And not only are there 3 villains, but 3 triangle dramas as well, which just... Stop. This is too much. I'm getting a headache at this point. Speaking of headaches, Flint Marko, who's the Sandman, turns out to be Uncle Ben's killer, because every other villain had a connection to Peter in some way. Flint doesn't. He's just a random thug. So this was their solution to that. And I like and dislike this change. It's a good way to connect Peter with Flint, yeah, and this movie's main theme is about forgiveness, so it ties in. But at the same time, it just feels weird to reveal this now when Uncle Ben died 2 movies ago. Anyhow, Peter is pretty mad about Flint being his uncle's killer, so mad in fact that he becomes a killer himself.
Let's just hope for Peter's sake that Flint Marko isn't someone's one's uncle.
Now this is a big move. Killing somebody is never right, even if it is your uncle's killer. A big reason why Peter did this is because of the symbiote he's wearing. A symbiote that makes its user more aggressive, and as we know, Peter has a pretty big ego in this movie, and the symbiote uses that as fuel. The symbiote also makes him do some pretty cool dance moves, and makes him emo, and makes him physically hurt MJ, which is when he realizes that he should probably take the symbiote off, but he quickly gets a new host, Eddie Brock Jr., a photographer who Peter, when he was in his emo phase, exposed for faking a picture, which ruined Eddie's career, which makes Eddie mad at Peter, and then he becomes Venom and now knows that Peter is Spider-Man, so he teams up with the Sandman and of course kidnaps MJ.
Gotta keep the tradition going.
Seriously, in all of the 3 movies, MJ gets kidnapped before the final fight. I mean, it was acceptable in the first 2 movies because it wasn't overdone, but this is the 3rd time. Isn't there any other things you could do? Well, whatever. Peter picks up the old suit again and tries to get Harry to help him, but Harry's still mad about his father, so Peter goes alone, almost loses, but Harry comes in at the last second to save the day. Why? Well, after Peter leaves, Harry's butler tells him that Norman killed himself, and Harry sort of just swallows it and goes to save Peter.
Oh, I've known the entire time how your dad died, but I haven't told you until now because now it's convenient for the story.
Yeah, this is just lazy writing 101. Alright, back to the fight scene. Harry sacrifices himself to save Peter, and Peter is able to defeat Venom, and he also forgives Sandman because Peter has not been the best person either. So Sandman vanishes away, and Harry sadly dies in Peter's arms. Now both Spider-Man 1 and 2 ended with a final swing, but it's not really as fitting. So instead we get a funeral scene of Harry's death, and then that's followed by a scene where Peter and MJ dance together. Not a kiss this time, just a dance. And this, unintentionally, became the last scene in the franchise. So that was Spider-Man 3. This movie is a mess. Although a beautiful mess. It has some really good ideas. The themes about forgiveness and Peter's ego are good, but then there is the stuff that just feels off. I don't like how Venom is portrayed. He isn't really a threat to Peter, which he should be. The point of Venom is that he's basically better than Spider-Man in almost every way. I don't really get those vibes here. Also, he takes off the mask all the time, which just makes him feel like nothing more than a dork with a cool costume. Sandman and Harry work better than Venom, but I have my share of issues with those two as well. MJ's storyline in most ways is good. However, I wish they skipped the triangle drama with her, Peter and Harry. Now for things such as music, editing, cinematography, and acting, they're all good, although I am still not the biggest fan of James Franco's and Kristen Dunn's acting. The CGI works and had a lot of budget put into it, especially in the Sandman scenes, and those look great, but then there are some times where the CGI just doesn't look that good. Mainly the scenes where Peter is being Spider-Man and is not wearing a mask. They don't look that good.
But with all that said, which side do I stand on? I first thought going into this I was gonna enjoy it and have a good time, and notice some small flaws here and there. But honestly, I was a little wrong about that. Watching this movie can be frustrating because A, the shifting focus from villain to villain, B, the good ideas that this movie has, but doesn't execute well enough. So honestly, I stand in the middle. This is still a movie I enjoy watching and a movie that I think has great stuff in it, but I can't ignore the flaws that this movie has and how it can be frustrating at times. But now that I'm done with this movie, and the entire trilogy for that matter, what should I do now? Fuck it, let's have a funeral.
If there is anything this trilogy taught me, it's that being a superhero is hard, delivering pizza is good for your happiness, and the fact that you can both like and dislike something at the same time. It also taught me how to do this.